The objective to design a flipped lesson is to maximize the students' participation in online and offline activities. To start, it is important to analyze the educational context in which the creative classroom will take place, set out the learning objectives and the methodologies to be used. Planning is crucial in order to determine what and how much of the subject can be taught within the time frame, for example, a semester, in and out the classroom. The creative classroom activity should take into consideration the development of activities inside the classroom and outside the classroom, both demanding good planning. The success of the design of a flipped classroom strongly depends on the alignment of what we want students to do before, during, and after the class. Usually, outside the class, students develop lower levels of cognitive work via reading or watching videos, gaining knowledge and comprehension. And in class, they focus on higher forms of cognitive work, harder work of assimilating knowledge, solving problems, debating or discussing some controversial issues, application, analysis, and/or evaluation, where they have the support of their peers and instructor. To start, it is important to define the learning objectives. It could be helpful to answer questions such as, what do you want your students to know and be able to do after the flipped classroom? And how will you access what they know or can do? In order to create the learning objectives, you can use a taxonomy. For example, Bloom taxonomy. You can define if you want your students to know some contents, to apply it, to discuss it, or any other level of knowledge. If you want to know more about this taxonomy, check out this link. When it comes to contents, it is important to select only the most important and relevant of subtopics that will make up a lesson. It is important not to try teaching everything with lower development of cognitive objectives, understanding and comprehension from Bloom taxonomy. It is better to have fewer contents and develop deeper objectives such as a critical analysis or creativity. It is also important to plan and prepare all instructional materials that students will use in the flipped experience. The development of materials should take into account the best way to communicate and present the material. For example, a video, text, animation, simulation, online multimedia model, or other, for the specific target. Students should be able to follow all the materials effectively. It is important to think in terms of the amount of time needed to cover all the contents and to achieve the learning objectives defined. The learning objectives and outcomes should be aligned with the activities that students will do before, during, and after the flipped classroom experience. All activities should be described in order to make clear how the learning objective will be met. Examples of activities are the creation of a project, solving problems, analyzing data, engaging in a debate, designing a product, and so on. Students should know why they are doing something, how it fits into the overall learning objectives, and how it is used beyond the class in their lifetime. After this short explanation about how to plan a learning strategy, it is time to do your own work. Are you ready? To start, think about the learning environment you would like to develop. Describe the context, the time frame, the outcomes, the learning objectives and soft skills, and the evaluation you want to implement. Then think about the learning activities that should be developed in order to reach the objectives defined. All learning activities and objectives should be aligned with evaluation. In order to facilitate the alignment among the elements, create a table like the one in this slide. This table shows how a class may be planned and the relation between the objectives of the lesson, the skills we want the student to develop, since for the same objective we can have more than one skill to be developed, the contents, and the activities and resources matching the learning objectives. Now, it is important to detail all the activities defined. To do this, create a table in a Word document, for instance, that describes the elements for each learning activity. According to the Flip methodology, all activities should have tasks, activity phases, to be developed in class and out of the classroom. Flipped classrooms are learning environments, and they have the potential to promote a paradigm shift from the teacher-centered one to the learner-centered one, as the learning tasks in flipped classrooms depend heavily on learner-driven preparation outside formal class time. The tasks to be developed in the first in-class session may include a presentation about a topic, a question about the materials, solving some problems related to the topic, or bringing to class an illustration of a solution, and so on. The plan should also include evaluation activities. It is crucial to plan the activities that will be supported in the resources available to students. The responsibility and ownership of learning should be transferred from the teacher to students through participation and interactive activities. When thinking about the activities to be developed, it is also important to take into consideration the technologies that will support them. The idea of flipped classrooms is not new, but it has recently gained importance due to the advancement in digital technologies, which enable students to ubiquitously have access to resources and build connections with their peers. In the digital age, flipped classrooms include blended learning, designs that use digital technologies to move passive learning tasks of knowledge delivery beyond formal class time, and use learning activities to move constructive learning tasks of concept building within formal class time. All tools and materials to be used should be clearly explained and its usage justified. Sometimes it is not easy to have group discussions in class, or even to allow all the students to express their voice, or do some practical exercises in class. In this case, the operationalization may require some adaptations. As mentioned above, the use of technology and its adaptation to certain situations may be a solution.